we're back with this next video. This video we're going to deal with making the cover, hopefully getting the pages in the cover, and maybe even making some of the mats and tags and things like that that are going to be in it. Okay, so I got this paper pad from Walmart of all weird places. It was very cheap. It was like $5. It is relatively flimsy paper, but for this instance we don't want it to be super duper heavy paper anyway because of what we're doing with it. Now it's called, the brand is Colorbach, which is like the Walmart brand. It's called Vintage Treasures designer paper. There's 50 sheets and it is very grungy, kind of rustic, but with more of a travel-y theme to it. I don't know why, I kind of liked it, so I figured, you know, $5, you can't beat that. It's kind of weird. It's got like the grungy looking stuff like this, but then it's got maps, location posters, and then music and flowers. So I'm not quite sure what to think of this whole entire set, but some of it is really, really pretty and will definitely be appropriate for this travel book. The cover I have decided to do in this chipped paint looking paper. I don't know how well you can see the, yeah, look at that, it's pretty strange, huh? And then this leathery looking one. So I'm going to do the cover this way and the spine this way. It's kind of a odd combo, I know, but color-wise they're perfect. I mean, the spots of wood match the leather color like just right. Now I've pre-cut them, and I've pre-cut the chipboard. The sizes of the chipboard are 2 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 6, and then 1 piece for the spine, which is 2 by 6. Now this one does have holes in it because it was a hold on, I'll show you. Hopefully without making an avalanche here. I have these 2 of these books, 2 different sizes of these books, which are all chipboard, and they are just every single page is chipboard. So there's no way I think I would ever make a book out of strictly chipboard. That is just craziness. So I take them off 2 at a time and use them to make covers for other books, which some are spiral bound, some are just this way. So I just put a piece of tape over the holes on both sides to cover them up so that they won't just pop through when I'm, you know, roughing it down with the bone folder. But this was the end piece of this. There was 2 of them, obviously. So I figured, you know, can't beat that. Why waste it? So there you go. That being said, we have papers that I've already cut down. They are, for these pieces, there's 2 pieces of the same paper at 6 1/4 by 8 to go onto that, and then for this piece here, I cut it at 4 by 8. That gives me 1 inch on either side, top and bottom. And the same thing here, 1 inch on either side, top and bottom. Now that I think about it, I didn't actually need the extra 2 inches for the square pieces. I didn't think about that ahead of time. When you do this, you have this piece here, which attaches to this piece here, and then this just covers it, so it doesn't go around it. You can do it the other way around, but when you fold it, this piece here always tends to pop loose, and we do not want that. Give me just a second, I gotta turn the heat down. Holy moly, it's hot in here. For some reason the house heat decided to turn on like it's not warm enough in here. The temperature got actually kind of nice outside today, which is awesome. It's been so crappy. The weather's been so bad. It's just been cold and wet and snowy, and anybody who's ever watched the news knows how much snow we got around here in the Northwest. Sorry. Okay, so we need Tyvek to strengthen the binding. And I had a piece already out here. Where did it go? I have no idea what I did with it. Tyvek, where'd you go? Hello. Alright, I'm going to have to cut that chunk right out of there because I don't know where it is and I gotta find it. Without avalanching anything. Alrighty, I found it. That wasn't actually as hard as I thought it was going to be. This is the bottom of a Tyvek envelope. I just use them until they're gone. So I'm just going to cut the seams. Tyvek, this is from Ello. You can actually get a pretty good deal on a huge box of these. I think it was like $20 for a bazillion of them, like 100 of them or something. They are the same envelopes that they use at the post office for airmail, maybe. I'm not sure if they charge. They never used to charge for them, but I don't think they'd appreciate you just going and taking their envelopes without actually using them. You know, we've got to keep our postal service in business and not, you know, make them waste money. These, like I said, I bought from Ello. I bought a box of them. There was 100 in there. I still have 90 of them easily. And I gave some away. That's kind of saying something. Because you only use, you know, a little bit at a time. You could actually wrap your whole entire cover in this stuff if you wanted to. Not that I would. But you could. And it would actually be kind of neat because it has this kind of a thready kind of texture to it, which is kind of neat. Maybe one day I'll make one just for giggles like that. Do some shiny stuff on it. Because you could paint this. You can antique it a little with the, you know, like the distress inks. I don't find that sticks too well, the distress inks. So you probably would do better with the distress paints, like these types of things. They have the, you know, the dauber in there, an actual paint. I don't know how permanent they would be, or if they would smudge, which nobody wants anything to smudge. That's just, you know, not good. Okay, so staying on track here. This would go on here first. Then this whole thing would be taped to the paper. Then the paper would be attached to the two boards, so like this. You need the biggest score tape you have to save yourself some hassle. You're going to put on the whole thing. You're going to put score tape on the whole spine piece to hold it in place. This may be overkill, but with the adhesives I generally do overkill just because I don't want them to fall apart. I have a little bit of a paranoia about that apparently. Alright. And then fill in the blank spot with more score tape. I'm not even sure I was touching the screen for that. Sorry. Kind of a messy crafter, so sorry for those of you that makes you stress out. I know some people don't like messes on their desk when they're crafting. I'm just used to working in a very small space because I have such a disaster on either side of my desk, like both sides of it are chaos. But again, I am working on getting it all organized. Just have not so far. Okay, so you're going to make sure that's well healed. Make sure it's well adhered, at any rate. using your sticky pokey tool, which I seem to have lost my We Are Memory Keepers one, but I have the tonic one, that'll work too. Just peel the paper off. Like I said, I trimmed my nails again, and I didn't have much in the first place, so since I had the chemo, my nails have kind of been coming loose from the skin, so I just keep them cut down so they don't catch on anything, but that I also keep all of them cut down because they look kind of funny when I have one really short nail and all the rest are growing. But it's not just my pinkies, it's my pinkies and my ring fingers. Both have lost their nails and they keep growing in weird, so I've been keeping them cut down in hopes that they'll grow back normal. Not that you needed all that explanation, but you got it now. Alright, once you have your adhesive backing off, you're going to close your pokey tool so it doesn't stab you in the foot, or anywhere else for that matter. You're going to lay this in the middle of here. This does not need to go past the end of it. It does need to go past both sides of it. So you're going to put it all the way to the end, centered left to right. Okay? And then you're just going to cut off the excess at the bottom. This will reinforce the hinge. If you wanted to, you could put another piece on the front of it. I think that's just overkill, but it's up to you if you want to do that or not. From here, you're going to use the 1/4 inch or the 1/8 inch score tape on either side. That will be your gauge as to where this will go. So if you want your book to be an 1/8 inch, you would use the 1/8 inch tape as a spacer. Or if you want it to be a 1/4 inch, a whole 1/4 of an inch, which I am going to do in this case, mainly because I want it to have a lot of potential growth room. Then you just put the 1/4 inch tape in here. It'll work as a spacer, but it'll also help when you fold the papers over to help them to have something to stick to. And then the tie-back will reinforce the fold so that when you're using it, you actually can manhandle a little, and the worst you'll do is rip the paper, but the actual page cover will not come off because this stuff does not rip very easily. Alright, so now that you have it down and you have it trimmed, you're going to just make sure you press it down really good. And then you're going to adhere that to your spine piece of paper, which is right here. And I am going to straighten up the edge of my paper a little bit. Apparently it's very crooked. That's my alarm. Always going off. Okay. So, from there, like I said, we're going to adhere this. I am going to put the tape on the back of here because it's easier for me just to stick it down to here than it is to do it the other way around and hope I aim the tape properly. Don't ask. I have issues. So, using the big tape, this is a 3/4 inch tape. I'm going to go, holy moly, across the top, this way, top and bottom, and then I'm going to fill in the outer edges, and then just to the edge of the cardboard, which is like right here on both pieces. You can do it all the way across and fill the whole thing in if you've got a big old 2-inch roll or 3-inch roll of this stuff, whichever. I mean, it comes as wide as a 5-inch roll. If you got it, use it. I'm doing the top and bottom mainly so it doesn't come loose there, because that is very, very important that it does not come loose. Alright, there's that. Not even in frame, sort of. Runny nose. I woke up not feeling very good today. I think I caught a cold. My customers love to share their colds. Could just be allergies, though. I do have seasonal allergies. For the case of this type of material, the Tyvek, this adhesive is very good. There are other materials that you could use for scrapbooking that you absolutely would not use this type of adhesive with, such as like Craftex, for instance. You have to use a liquid adhesive like a rubber cement or leather weld or something to that effect, mainly because this type of adhesive, the dry adhesive they call it, does not stay on the Tyvek. It actually peels off very easily, except for when you want it to, of course. Okay, so I have this all on here. I'm going to put one more piece down the middle of it for good measure, because like I said, I kind of like to go crazy with the excessive adhesive. I don't want the paper to come loose from the Tyvek. By the way, this is not a sore. This is actually lipstick that has been one of those color stay lipsticks that has been on my hand for days and days, and I've washed my hands, I can't even tell you how many times. It just won't come off. It barely came off my lips, and I had to scrub them. It's pretty color though, huh? Alright. Remove all of your adhesive backing. If you're uncomfortable with doing that, you can just remove the middle first and then lay it down, and then the back of the rest of the backing can be taken off. It's up to you, whatever works. Because I did the across the bottom and top, I'm just going to remove it all and put it down that way. Oh, sorry. To center it top to bottom, left to right on this piece of paper. That's top to bottom. That's left to right-ish. Ish is good enough in this case. Like that. Oh, lordy. Guess I have to trim that off, huh? Missed the edge. That's okay, it doesn't really matter. Not hurting anything, I'm cutting it off because I want to cut it off, because it would bother me. Alright, these edges are all going to be covered up, so you don't have to worry about them being perfect, unless you're obsessive compulsive burnisher. If you cover the edge up and you burnish it really hard, you can see where the end of this is and where it's under the paper, because it's going to go like this. So if you burnish it really hard, you'll see where the edge is, like in the middle of your paper. It'll look kind of funny, actually. Okay, so next we have to decide whether we wanted it to be half-inch, quarter-inch. Like I said, want it to be half-inch, or quarter-inch, I mean. Quarter-inch or eighth-inch, at any rate. That's what you're aiming to decide on. Lordy. You're just going to line it up to the edge of the chipboard. Excuse my head, which is in the shot. Alright, and then you're going to go to the end of the chipboard and peel it off, or pull it up. Blech. Rip it off. Can't talk. Oh, Lordy. It doesn't matter if it goes over a little, it's just a little easier to get off if you don't go over the edge. If you don't go past the end of the chipboard, that is. So, rip it off. Okay. Then I am going to take this one. Nope, this one. Sorry, this is 3/8 inch. And I'm going to go end to end as far as I can, as close as I can to the edge. this is where it will attach to the cover pieces. And then you'd also do the same thing on the cover pieces. You put it right up against the edge so that when it goes here, you have a piece of tape here on the underside, and then that piece of tape there holding it down. So 2 pieces of tape holding it down. It makes it pretty sturdy. Okay? Alright, yes. Talking to myself. I do that frequently. So, right to the edge of the chipboard, and again, right to the edge of the chipboard. Make sure that's down really good. It takes a little more burnishing for this tape to stick to the chipboard than a regular paper, because the chipboard's made with layers of paper. And it makes it far too easy for it to just peel off. Anything that hangs over the edge, that you notice hanging over the edge, you can just fold it up back onto itself. I have a little bit that hangs over the edge, not much. Okay. Again, my actual usual sticky pokey tool has, here we go, it's right here, it has a cover on it, which makes life a happy place. So I don't have to risk stabbing myself with it. Okay. So now we put adhesive and adhesive. You're going to leave this adhesive cover on, backing on. The only one you're going to take off is the one that's on the chipboard for now. You're going to use this strip of adhesive as your line-up mark, and you're going to take the flat edge of a ruler, like this one has a metal edge and a flat edge. You're going to take the flat edge and put it up against the bottom of the chipboard, and then you're going to line this one up against the tape and the ruler, and that'll make it square. Okay? You're going to do the same thing on this side. Line that up, holding the ruler in place. If you're not ambidextrous, just turn the thing around. Alright, so you're going to hold it in place, line it up, and push it down, making sure everything is all lined up across the board. Okay, so push it down, make sure everything's burnished. And you're going to flip it over, and gently, without creasing this paper, you're going to pull this adhesive backing off. You don't want to crease this, like fold this back and crease it trying to get the paper off, or it's going to just look bad. So you're going to gently remove that. Like that. And you do the same thing on the other side, which is right here. You're going to be able to get a hold of the adhesive. Flip it over, gently pull it off. And again, anything that goes over the edge like that, just fold it under onto itself, it's fine. So you're going to rub these pieces down, being sure not to tape the paper to the desk. I'm really good at that. Now, if this sticky stuff sticking out here is too much for you, all you got to do is just rip a piece of this off and stick it back on there like that, and that's fine. I don't really care, honestly. So, you're going to fold these gently, just to give yourself a crease, so you know where this paper needs to go. This paper should go at most a half inch away from this fold right here. Okay? So you're just making a crease and a crease on both sides of that 1/4 inch piece of tape, basically. That way you know that when you put this paper on, it only goes that far away. So there's your 1/4 inch, there's your 1/2 inch. I'm going to do a 1/4 inch because I don't think we need all that extra hoopla on there. Not to mention that if I do a 1/2 inch, that only gives me a 1/4 inch under the edge of it. Let me see here. Let me stare at this for a second. This is how my brain works. I have to stare at things for a second so I can see what I think. I think I'm going to do probably 3/8, maybe a half. We'll see what works better. Alright. I am going to slap them puppies on there real quick before we run out of time. We're already at 25 minutes. And I don't want you guys to have such a long video that you don't want to watch it. Alright, so we are going to use the big tape. This is the 3/4 inch tape. Decide on these two pieces which is the top and which is the bottom. I think the bigger holes would be at the bottom. You know, water drips down the walls and makes the bottom of the paint chip or something. Just guessing. So put only on the edge that's going toward the spine. You're going to put this on the paper. On the rest of it, you're just going to put it on here. Okay? So this is the edge that's going toward the paper, right here. It's going towards the spine anyway. You're going to stick that on there, all the way down. Use scissors to cut it off in this case here, because you really kind of want that to be decently neat. And then again, this is the side that's going to be next to the spine. So do that. Alright. From there, we're going to unstick the pencil. Put right up against here on all edges and then a couple in the middle. Okay? Now, what I like to do with these is to tape this edge down first, fold it back gently, peel all this stuff off, and then just drop it down. That way I know it's all lined up nice and straight, and I haven't screwed anything up. That's the aim, is to really not just mess anything up, as best you can. So I'm going to pull the tape off of here. Or the backing off here, anyway. You're going to make sure that you line this up on your mat with the ruler lines. There. And then, like I said, I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do a 1/2 inch, 3/8 of an inch. Yeah, 3/8 of an inch. Remember that so I don't have to remember it. Like I'm gonna ask anybody what I said. Oh lordy, don't do that. Stuck it down to the mat. Don't do that. I just almost ripped my papers. So now you're gonna pull it back. You're gonna peel the backing off, and you can do this in stages. If you did it, if you laid the tape in the same manner that I did, you can do this in stages and lay it down, fold it back, pull the sticky stuff up. So you can pull one of these at a time, lay it down as you go. I don't think it's necessary, but you may feel more comfortable doing it a little at a time. It's up to you. As I always say. Oh, as I say, it's not necessary. I promptly stick it down wrong. Ah. Okay. Oh well, that's okay. It's not gonna hurt anything. And then you turn around and do it again the right way, without ripping the paper. That is on the front of the cover, but I can actually fix that with anything, embellishment-wise. It's fine. Alright, so we already put the sticky stuff on the paper. We are going to do that. Put our end pieces on. And a couple pieces this way. Okay. Now, remove this. Line this up. Put this at, oh, not that line, this line. Make sure you got it lined up in the right place. Do it right, to line it up right. Excuse my head. Alright, 3/8 of an inch. Stick it down. Again, don't stick the paper to the mat, or it's not fun getting it off and you might rip it. Which I almost did. Pull the strap. Trying not to crease the paper. Push it down. Next strip. Gently push it down. Pull up your last strip. And push it down. Get rid of all these gazillion little papers. The kitty likes to play with them. Flip it over. Now from here, remember I said I didn't actually need to have so much paper. Now you see why. There's a million ways to get rid of that. I am just going to use a X-Acto and a straight edge. Because you only really need, at most, about an inch extra to fold over. So just cut it off. And this is a little over an inch with the metal piece, so that's fine. Turn it around, do the other side. I'm going to save those for now, and if I don't use them by the end of this project, I will get rid of them. I decided to stop saving all these goofy little pieces of paper because it's just a waste of space. Set these aside. Using the X-Acto, we're going to just cut the corners, diagonally like this. Like that. I am going to put the tape on first before I do any more of them because I like to just cut it off. Okay. You're going to use this thick tape, or at least a 1/2 inch. You can use more wider one if you have it. I do not. Run it down the whole entire thing. I'm going to only do the 2 long sides first with this, and then after I fold them up, I'm going to put it onto the shorter sides. That way every single piece of it is covered. I find it like when you fold these up and then you fold these over, there's a part in the corner that doesn't have any adhesive on it because you cut it off, basically. So, here we're going to diagonally cut a corner off on each corner, leaving as little as an eighth, as much as a quarter of an inch of paper. I usually leave about a quarter of an inch, then I can fold it over and tuck it in nicely and make a clean fold. Alright, so you don't want to force things around the corner. You want to gently roll them, make sure that they're touching the edges of the chipboard, burnish it a little. In the case of this, you see I have, maybe a quarter inch that is unadhered, has no adhesive on it at all. I would put the eighth inch adhesive in between on the bottoms of each of these. You can also, unless you're really super talented, you can fold these back and get them out of your way. You don't want to take them off just yet because you don't want to have all that exposed adhesive just sitting there waiting to stick to something. Okay, so take your eighth inch, or quarter inch anyway, put some across the bottom of each piece before you fold it up. If you forgot to do this, it wouldn't really hurt anything, but it just holds it better with it. It looks better, it's sturdier, and if your ends, like the bottom of your paper rips, where it folds, then you don't have to worry about it so much because it's not going to just come loose. Okay, so push it down, pull off the backings. And pull off the big backing strip as well. Out of your way, and you're going to gently go back and forth and work your paper around the corner, basically. And you got that adhesive that you just put down there to hold that down as you go. Okay? So you got all that down, make sure it's all nice. Get your bone folder and just give it one good swipe along the edge for good measure. And run it over. Now these, like I said, are just here so you can pull them off later when you get to folding this. When you get to folding this, then you just tuck these in as you go, and they'll stick to that adhesive, in a good way. What you're going to do with these bottom corners, you're just going to give them a little bit of a tuck before you put your adhesive on over here. Just enough to get them out of the way when you fold it over. Excuse my sniffles, I apologize. There's that. And then you're going to turn it around and do the other side. Now remember, you need to put your adhesive on the bottoms, and you need to pull these backings up just a little bit. Now that you did the other side, you don't really need to do this side as well, but you can. It's kind of an easier way to remember that you have tape there. After the fact, after you get all of this folded up. Alright, so we already have that one. We're going to use this one. Across the bottom of each of these. It's going to be a long video, I apologize. We're almost done with this though. I hope I'm not mumbling too much. I've been trying not to, but it's my default mode. My default mode is to mumble, apparently. I'm told this all the time at work. Ugh, that didn't work. Lay down that again. Let's try that again. There we go. Jesus. Sorry for the clanking in the back of my dryer. There's something in my dryer that's really making a ruckus. Probably my husband's work pants. He uses these pads on the knees of his work pants, and they're just clunky. Okay. So, again, gently fold it up. Coax it to go around the edge. Just keep going back and forth. The warmth of your hand is usually enough to get it to cooperate. You don't have to like force it around the corner. Give it a good rub along the edge and then burnish it down. Now you're going to do these two corners here. Use your bone folder or your fingernail, whatever works. Or your finger anyway, I don't really have any nails. Then you're going to take your big tape across this. Being sure to go end to end, not just to the edge of the mitered corner. Pick that up, trim it. There is a way, and I may do it in a later video, there is a way to do this without mitering the corners. I've done it once or twice. It's just kind of strange to me to do it, but it makes the corners, the actual corners of the page look angled, which is kind of cute, I guess. Then you're going to put tape on this chipboard side. This you want to make sure you leave about 1/8 of an inch to the end of the chipboard, just because it has potential to be seen. Turn around to the other end. Okay. Make sure you rub it down. Pull off the backing. And work it up. You can use, if this were thicker paper, I would use my bone folder to push it up and over with, but this is very paper thin, like copy paper thin, so you don't want to really kind of manhandle it too much because it will rip, as we noticed with the front cover already. Okay, turn around to the other side. Hurry this up before we run out of time. A 3-hour-long video here. Just want to get her done. Okay. Now you're going to work this. Make sure there's nothing sticking over the edge. Up. Up and over, up and over, up and over until it's cooperating. And lay down. Along the edge of the bone folder. My edge didn't roll over all the way well, so it's got a little bit of a bump to it. So you just have to give it a little bit of a push. And that's it. Alright, so I am going to stop the video here because we're already at like 40-45 minutes. And when I come back, I'll show you how to attach the pages to this book. And there's the cover. Okay? See you next time.